Right, so this is a quick video on hoisting. Well, at least I'm naming it hoisting. The concept exists in, I think it's Node.js JavaScript, where anytime you create a function, it's automatically like recognized. But Python doesn't do that. Python needs the function to be declared before it's called. So, for example, if I want to run this main function, I have to define this function here, and then I have to call it afterwards down below. And here this is called the main guard, so I do it down below. You don't need the main guard, but it's got to be called after it's been created. Whereas, like, so if for example I try to run main here, in fact already sort of like pops up, but main is not defined. And that's because Python's sort of like looked up in the lines above and it hasn't seen main. It only sees main at line number 13 over here. Right, line number 13. It doesn't see it on line number 11. So it doesn't work like that, so which is not good, or not good, but that's the way that Python works. So we've got to sort of like get this one down below, underneath, anywhere down below. So over here is perfectly fine too, because that's down below. So anywhere after main has been created, can we call it? And the same for like this name of class over here. Right, what we see is name of class is called before, but this hasn't thrown an underscore, and the reason why is because of the ordering of how this is done. So if I go into this and just click on that, let's just show, for example, if we did move main down. So I think it's is it shift, and no, it's not shift, it's alt, and move it down. All of a sudden, Python's happy with that, so the underscore's gone away because main is now has now been defined above, and we can select C. Oops, where is it over there? Main is over here, like, so it's been created like it exists in the outline. So it hadn't been created up at this point, basically. So we're allowed to put it where we want, and of course we put it over here. We just happen to put it into the if statement over here, but we don't need to have it in if. So long as it's called afterwards. Now, if we didn't have this main called afterwards here, then, like, let's say for example we called main here, and we didn't have this main guard down below, so we commented this one out. Then when we try to run this, I'm presuming, well, yeah, name of class hasn't been created. I was actually expecting the name of class to get an underscore as well, because it doesn't exist at this point. So let's just actually hit a run on this. Oops. I'll put everything into it because I like to run it in the interactive terminal on the side. Let's just close out this particular interactive terminal, and we'll just run it on the side. So control return. It's like to see the interactive terminal launching itself and running, connecting to the kernel. We get this hello world, and then we get here this error message, line number 16. And here's line number 16, x equals name of class, right? Which is right here, line number 16, name of class. And the reason why is this has occurred, it's not defined, right? We get this message every single time over here, which is not defined, right? And of course it's not defined, at least according to Python it's not defined, because it only gets its definition over here on this line of code on line number 22. So that's kind of like problematic, because, or not problematic, but like, in order to make this work, we'd have to shift name of class above it. And maybe we didn't want to shift name of class above the main, because this is our main routine, and this is sort of like a class that we want sort of like on the side somewhere. So we want to be able to order our code, and we can't order our code unless we do something about it, which is this type of main guard over here, or something, or at least call the main afterwards. So, for example, moving the main down here will make it fine again. So if we move main down here and we try to do the same run, we don't get this error message. And the reason why is because Python runs through code sequentially, so it's sort of going down in this line sequentially, and it's read all of this stuff here. and then it goes further down, and then it gets its definition of main over here, which is fine, but it doesn't actually run anything inside of main. So main gets defined, it goes over here, so we've got our definition of main, and it's got things that are enclosed inside the encapsulation, as it was. So these things effectively are inside of main. So Python just knows that main now exists. It doesn't necessarily need to know the contents of it because it hasn't been run. So then Python's happy with that. It sequentially moves down the code here. So it goes down all these blank lines, and then it finds the class over there, and the class is fine. So it finds it over here on line number 21 after main has been defined. And I'm just wondering actually if this is all alphabetical or not as well. I'll come back to that. But so it finds it here, and now the class is actually defined, which is great. And then finally, so it continues running the code, and then finally it gets to main. Now when it gets to main, it actually goes and executes this block. So now it starts looking inside the block. So effectively, we come around here, we go back, and then it says, right, I'm going to look inside of main now. And then it says x equals name of class. And it says, does it exist? And yes, it does, because it's been created. It was created before line number 29, where main was actually called. So that's basically hoisting. That's how it works in Python. Let's get rid of all of the lines from it. So, and typically, one thing that we have is, because, and this is more like for bigger projects, but this is called the main guard, basically. But if I comment this out, I could even call it main guard. Again, I keep forgetting what the phrase is, but if I put it into ChatGPT, what is the main guard in Python? I wonder if it'll do that. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what it means. Okay, it's an idiom. Like, oh, there we go. So it has kind of like done it, but I'm not sure. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you mean by main guard in Python. However, if you're referring to the common pattern, I am. If you're referring to the common pattern used to ensure the script is only executed where it's run directly, and when it is not imported as a module, then it is typically achieved using the following construct. I'm just going to go, what is this construct? Because I keep forgetting, commonly called question mark. There we go. Well, oh, there we go. I'm not sure if I've coaxed it or not. So let's open a new chat, and I could actually Google it. It might be faster, but now that we've all got ChatGPT, refers to the name of the current script. No, it's set to the block is typically contained. All right, it's giving all of the definitions, but yeah. But this is, anyway, I am now calling it the main guard. But the point is, you don't actually need this, but what you do need to have if you want to have hoisting is you want to be calling whichever is like your major function that calls all of the other ones. In a lot of languages, like main is used as kind of like the default, entry piece of the code. So if you want to have this effect of hoisting, where you can declare things wherever you like afterwards rather than before in Python, then you would have to call the function after it's been created, like right at the bottom of the code, and or right after everything that you wanted to hoist prior to that. So, and I'm calling this hoisting, although that's not necessarily what it's called in Python. So that's really it. That's hoisting in Python.